Hi everyone, bonsoir, it's Aaron, and I'm here to talk to you about French pronunciation. I'm going to present to you a way to read and pronounce French syllables. And so this will help with spelling and understanding French words that we come in contact with, or if you are the parent of a French learner, words that your kids are coming in contact with. So this is very important for spelling and also for reading. I hope you will join me to learn a few rules about syllabification, which means breaking words down into syllables in the French language. And so, without further ado, we need to talk about stress. There is such a thing as tonic and atonic stress. Um, that means the emphasis. So the tonic syllable will always get the emphasis, and unemphasized syllables are called atonic. Um, the tonic syllable is always the last pronounced syllable. There is such a thing as a mute syllable in French, and it's quite common. So we'll be getting right into that. But keep in mind that the tonic stress will always be in the last pronounced syllable. And therefore, you can count on it throughout the language. It's actually a very even rule, which we truly do not have many of those in language studies. There's hardly, I couldn't think of another example just right off the bat of something so straightforward as the stress of French. But it has a stress pattern which favors the last syllable. In fact, even within several words, an entire phrase, even a full sentence, the stress will be even until it's emphasized at the end. So the last syllable of a word, the last syllable of a phrase will be emphasized. It's kind of like da 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 da. Okay, or obviously there are one syllable words, duh, but you'll see what I mean. The rhythm, the stress of French will go to the last pronounced syllable. Mute E, final E, is almost silent in speech, but we need to work that out because it is going to be important for syllabification, and mute E can still quantify, does still quantify a syllable, but it is a mute vowel sound. So we will talk about that actually right now in greater detail. It's common at the end of words to have this mute E syllable, and we will pronounce the consonants that come before it. The consonants that come after it are silent. This is the word green, written in 4 different ways. That is the masculine singular, masculine plural, feminine singular, feminine plural. If you don't know what I mean, don't worry about that. I'm really just focused on syllables today. But notice that the first 2 are pronounced the exact same. The second 2 are pronounced the exact same. Vert, vert, verte, verte. Okay, you hear the t. That is the T of the last syllable of those bottom 2 examples, followed by a mute E. So whether it has an S behind it or not, you will not pronounce that, but you will pronounce the T. Vowels. Vowels in French are A, E, I, O, U, and Y, the Greek E. This is very different than English in terms of the way we say these. A, E, O, U, Y. Like English, Y can also be a consonant sound. Every syllable must have a single vowel sound and may or may not include consonants, but a syllable will need a vowel sound and only one vowel sound. but that does not mean only one vowel. And so vowel sounds can be spelled with what I call commonly grouped consecutive vowels. So vowels that follow each other and they're commonly grouped. So these are vowels that you'll see across the vocabulary, such as the combination EAU of bo, ku, ku, COUP, that is a vowel sound, OU, ku, bo, ku. So a closed O, a pure O, can be spelled EAU in French, such as in the word beautiful, beau, or in the word beaucoup, which means many, much, or a lot. Now, there are at least a dozen of these vowel sounds that are made up of commonly grouped consecutive vowels, and that is a separate video. But you will learn to recognize some of these. I've tried to give examples of some common words that you may have already come across, even as a beginner. Single consonant. A consonant between two vowel sounds will pair with the second vowel sound. So it will go to the second consonant, such as in soleil, sun. And in the dark yellow, that's where you see the International Phonetic Alphabet. That is the international written pronunciation. The French word is on the far left in white, and in the middle is the French word broken into two syllables. So if the French teacher asked you which letters go to which syllables, the hyphen there will show you the breakdown. Soleil, again, the stress on the last syllable. Soleil, sun. Plaisir, pleasure. Utilise, utilise means uses or utilizes. Single consonant, however, when it is an X, actually makes two sounds, and so you need to pair the first of those with the first syllable and the second with the second. I'm sorry, the letter X will go with the first syllable. And when you pronounce it, there are two sounds, one for each syllable. Exister, exister. The reason for this is that the X is actually a voiced X sound. Exister. That is just an exception. Double consonants. Divide double consonants into syllables. So you will put the hyphen between them. I'm talking about the light yellow section that shows the syllabification. Sommeil, sleep. Sommeil. Connu, known. Connu. Accident, accident. Accident. Okay, we do not pronounce the NT. It makes a nasal sound, and that can be discussed in another video. But here we're just looking at the syllabification and the stress. Accident, accident. This is important for your kids if you want them to remember words that have two C's, for example. Accident. Each of those C's has a sound. The first one has a K sound, the second one has an S sound. Accident. Moving on. Double consonants divide two different consonants. So we went over when they're the same, such as MM or CC. Here we have two different consonants. Manger, to eat. Manger, manger. The N is part of a nasal vowel sound, and the G is a soft sound, not the G, but the softer J. Now it's followed by ER at the end of a word, which is always A. ER is always pronounced A in these words, which many of them are infinitive verbs. To eat, for example. Manger. Put those two consonants in separate syllables. Verte, verte. verte, verte. If you sing it, or if you say it super clearly, but verte is the word. It sounds like one syllable when you speak it, and this is very common of French. It's one syllable sounding with the mute E in spoken language, but in poetic and singing, for sure, there are mostly notes along with the mute sound. And that's a separate video as well if you want to get into that. Escargot. Escargot are snails, 3 syllables. Ouvre, ouvre. Okay, the mute E is not a spoken vowel sound, so the emphasis, the stress goes on the first few letters. Ouvre, ouvre, which means open. Ouvre tes yeux bleus. Open your blue eyes. Ouvre tes yeux bleus. Ouvre, ouvre. Again, in poetics, ouvre tes yeux bleus. Ouvre tes yeux bleus. It sounds almost like 2 syllables. Sung, it is 2 syllables, as in Massenet's ouvre tes yeux bleus. Ouvre tes yeux bleus, ma mignonne. Voici le jour. February, février, février. The, don't ask me why, well, let's see, double consonants. When there is an R or an L, both of the consonants will go to the second. So, ouvre, février, table, février, février, table, table. Again, really sounding like one syllable. Table means tables. There's no difference between the word table and tables in terms of pronunciation on its own, this word on its own. But table, 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 you almost, it's mute. So, digraphs. 2 different consonants with a single sound are treated as one consonant. Cherche, éléphant, montagne. CH, cherche. PH, éléphant. GN combination. Montagne, montagne, montagne. You really don't say the N because it's part of, the first N is part of a mon nasal vowel sound. Montagne, ny, ny. That is the sound of GN, montagne, like the word onion in English, or the ñ of Spanish. 3 consonants divide syllables between the first and second consonant. Yes, so you will put the hyphen between the first and second in words like mercredi, mercredi, Wednesday, trembler, 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 trembled, contrat, contract, contrat, contrat. Now, the tréma, or the tréma, le tréma is the 2 dots that go above, and this is different than German, where it actually changes the vowel. An umlaut will change the vowel sound. This actually just shows that it's a different vowel sound. So instead of OE combined to make one vowel sound, it's O and E as separate vowels. So this little written device for the word Christmas, Noël, Noël, the emphasis always on the last syllable. Okay, here's some more. Cruel, cruel, cruel. Travailler, work, théâtre, théâtre, theater. Separate two consecutive vowels in these words. So cruel, two separate vowel sounds. But see, often in French, when you see two vowels, it's actually one vowel sound, and you'll have to learn those as we talked about earlier. But see, here, it's usually the exception when you see two vowel sounds together that they are not one vowel sound. So you'll learn some of these words, and you'll really get the hang of this after a couple hundred words. You'll start to really see those patterns. Travailler, to work. The ILLE, the ILL is actually a consonant sound. Y, y, y. The ER, as I said, is always pronounced A, which is a pure A. It's not a diphthong. It doesn't have any other Y sounds behind it. A. Travailler. Théâtre. So even with these accents that you see, in this case, the accent does show us that this is a separate vowel, but oftentimes the accent marks actually have no effect on the syllabification or the stress. And I want to stress that because in languages like Italian or Spanish, the accent marks actually show you where the strong syllables are, where the tonic syllables, the emphasized syllables are. In French, that's not the case. Typically, it's not, unless it's a trema, as we saw earlier, or this situation where you have two accents together that are different, then those are tip-offs that this could be two separate, it would be two separate vowel sounds. So I hope that's clear. This really should give you a good start on syllabification, and we will talk in greater detail about actual letters and other combinations. This was just really a breakdown of, if it's one consonant, you put it with the second syllable. If it's between vowels. If it's two, you break them apart. Unless it's R or L, you keep them together in the second syllable. If it's three, separate them between the first and the second two. And look out for some exceptions to the rules. Always emphasize the last syllable of a French phrase or sentence, and even a word. There's a lot more we need to say about mute E. There's a lot more to say about the way that the silent syllables act out in reality. So today we talked about them being silent within the word, but within a sentence, sometimes the consonants that follow will actually be pronounced, and there will have to be a whole video on that, but only for good measure, because you can learn it by ear. You can hear those things. And also, there's more to say about the singing aspects. So today, in terms of the mute E, many of these words have one syllable. If you are a parent, the kids really just think of vert, vert. Even if it has ES, it would technically be two syllables, the VERTES, but it sounds verte. It would be sung verte, such as in the song, there's a children's song, Une souris verte qui courait dans l'herbe. Okay, so this mute E sound is at the end of words, the end of phrases. And that song, by the way, is a green mouse who was running in the grass. That's kind of how the song starts off. So anyhow, Bonsoir, good evening to you all. Please subscribe, comment, and like the video. Please share it. I've got lots of language insights to talk about. And if you want to learn how to pronounce French, I will stick with you and definitely be providing some more videos in those regards. So I hope that this helped. And bonne chance avec le français. I am able to answer questions if you leave them in the comments, so please do that. And take care. Thanks.